Welcome to the Deep Dive,
Yeah.
where we unpack complex topics and unearth hidden gems of knowledge.
Uh-huh.
Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the first conditional
Oh,
in
cool.
the English grammar.
Right.
We have some intriguing excerpts from language learning materials
Interesting.
that use short stories and activities
Okay.
to illustrate this concept.
Right.
We'll be exploring how the first conditional helps us express potential outcomes based on certain conditions. And trust me,
Yeah.
it gets pretty interesting.
Okay.
We'll be encountering negotiations, a touch of bribery, and even a family's grand vacation aspirations.
Wow. That sounds like it'll be pretty fun.
Yeah, I think so.
It's fascinating how this seemingly simple grammatical structure reflects a fundamental aspect of human thinking. Our constant assessment of choices and their consequences.
It's like we're all hardwired to play this what-if game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
To see how this plays out in real life, let's look at our first story aptly titled, Everyone Tries to Get Their Own Way. Our protagonist, Joanna, is quite the little negotiator, and her day is a series of conditional agreements
Interesting.
and potential consequences.
It really highlights how deeply ingrained conditional thinking is in our daily lives.
Right.
We're constantly evaluating situations, weighing possibilities, and making decisions based on predicted outcomes.
Right, and it starts with her friend April, who's clearly not impressed with her parents' lunch packing skills.
Okay.
April tells Joanna, if you bring a cheese sandwich for lunch tomorrow, I'll swap lunches with you.
Wow.
But Joanna, being a shrewd bargainer, counters with, if you have a tuna sandwich, I'll trade lunches with you.
So this isn't just about kids bartering over sandwiches.
Uh-huh.
This is a glimpse into game theory in action.
Oh, wow.
They're assessing the value of their resources, the likelihood of the other person meeting the condition, and the potential payoff of the exchange.
That's a really cool way to look at it.
Right?
I never thought about a simple lunch swap in terms of game theory.
Yeah.
It shows how even seemingly straightforward situations involve this complex dance of conditions and outcomes.
Absolutely. And it underscores that the first conditional isn't just about grammar.
Yeah.
It's about understanding probabilities and making calculated choices based on those probabilities.
So in this grammatical structure, we see a present tense situation leading to a potential future outcome. But Joanna's day of deal-making doesn't end there.
Okay.
In class, her teacher, perhaps trying to motivate a room full of less than enthusiastic students, announces, if you all do your homework tonight, we can leave 10 minutes early tomorrow.
Ah, the classic dangling carrot approach.
Yeah.
And notice how it immediately triggers a chain reaction of conditional thinking.
Exactly. Her classmate, Jerry, clearly not a fan of homework, sees an opportunity and whispers to Joanna.
Yeah.
Joanna, if you do my homework for me, I'll give you $5. Now, Joanna, ever the savvy negotiator, counters with, I'll do your homework if you give me $10.
This is interesting because it shows how the first conditional can be used not only to express a possible outcome,
Right.
but also to set boundaries and establish value.
Yeah.
Joanna's essentially saying, my time and effort have a price.
It's like she's running a mini business.
Yeah.
I wonder if she's read any books on negotiation tactics. But things take a bit of a turn on the bus ride home.
Okay.
The kids are getting a little rowdy, and the bus driver, clearly reaching his limit, yells,
Oh, no.
if you kids keep making all that noise, I'm going to stop the bus and make you all walk home.
It's fascinating how a simple if-then statement can shift so quickly from a promise to a threat. The structure remains the same, but the tone and the implied consequences change dramatically.
It's like the first conditional is this multi-purpose tool
Yeah.
that we use to navigate all sorts of social situations. And speaking of social situations, Joanna's final negotiation of the day is with her mom, who warns her, honey, if you don't take the dog for a walk, you won't get your allowance this week.
This raises an interesting question about the psychology of motivation. Do we respond better to positive reinforcement, like the prospect of earning something,
Right.
or to negative reinforcement, like the fear of losing something?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Maybe it depends on the person, or maybe it's a bit of both.
Yeah, probably.
But Joanna, in a moment of teenage rebellion, thinks to herself,
Oh.
if I ever become a mom, I won't tell my kids what to do.
Yeah, Joanna.
Bless her heart. I have a feeling she'll learn a thing or two about parenting when she's older.
Yes, she will.
But it's interesting how even this internal thought, this hypothetical scenario, is structured as a first conditional.
It shows that the first conditional isn't just about external agreements or observable actions.
Right.
It's also about how we process our thoughts and beliefs about the world. We use it to explore possible futures, to imagine alternative realities, and even to rebel, albeit internally,
Yeah.
against the rules and expectations that surround us.
That's a really insightful point.
Yeah.
It makes you realize how pervasive this grammatical structure is in our thinking.
Absolutely.
But before we move on to our next story, I'm curious.
Okay.
Have you ever found yourself making deals or setting conditions, even if they weren't as dramatic as Joanna's?
Oh, absolutely. I think we all engage in these kinds of conditional negotiations, whether it's with ourselves, our families, or colleagues. It's how we set expectations, establish boundaries, and work towards shared goals.
Speak of shared goals. Let's shift gears and explore our next story, the Wong family vacation,
Okay.
which beautifully illustrates how the first conditional can be used to express not just immediate deals,
All right.
but also long-term aspirations.
What's particularly intriguing here is how each family member's individual aspirations are woven into the fabric of a collective dream.
Right,
They're using the first conditional to map out a path towards a shared future.
right. The story sets the stage with this overarching goal. The Wong family is working very hard this year. If they work really hard, they will all get to go on vacation. We see that classic if-then structure again, connecting present effort to a future reward.
It's a brilliant example of how the first conditional can be a powerful motivator.
Yeah.
It creates a sense of shared purpose and reinforces the idea that individual contributions lead to collective success.
Absolutely. It's like saying, we're all in this together, and if we each do our part, we'll reach our destination.
Right.
But what makes this story so compelling is that each family member also has their own personal goal that contributes to the overall vacation plan.
Okay.
Charles Wong, the dad, is a real estate agent, and we're told if he sells 10 more houses than last year, he will have enough money to take the family to the Bahamas.
Notice how it shifts from a general statement of working hard to a specific measurable target.
Yeah.
It's not just about putting in the effort, it's about achieving a tangible outcome.
And it adds a layer of accountability, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, for sure.
It's like he's making a public declaration, a commitment to himself and his family. His wife, Irene Wong, who's an interior designer, has a similar goal. If she finds 20 new clients, the family will be able to stay in a 5-star resort.
It's fascinating how the first conditional allows each individual to pursue their own professional ambitions, while simultaneously contributing to the family's shared aspiration.
Yeah,
It's a win-win situation.
exactly. It's a beautiful blend of personal growth and collective reward.
Right.
But wait, there's more. Grandma Wong, the ever-optimistic matriarch, has her own plan.
Okay, what is it?
Grandma Wong walks to the convenience store every day and buys a lottery ticket. If she wins the jackpot, she will be able to retire in the Bahamas.
Ah, the classic lottery dream.
Eh.
It's interesting because while it technically fits the structure of the first conditional, the probability of winning the lottery is significantly lower than, say, selling 10 more houses or finding 20 new clients.
So would you say it's pushing the boundaries of the realistic possibility that we usually associate with the first conditional? Is it more about expressing a heartfelt wish than a likely outcome?
I think you've hit on a crucial point. The first conditional often reflects a spectrum of probabilities.
Right.
From highly likely to remotely possible.
Uh-huh.
And in Grandma Wong's case, it's more about keeping that dream alive,
Yeah.
maintaining that glimmer of hope even if the odds are stacked against her.
It's a beautiful reminder that sometimes the act of believing in a possibility, however slim, can be just as powerful as the outcome itself. But let's not forget about the kids. Jimmy the son hopes to go scuba diving in the Bahamas.
No.
If he passes his swimming lessons, his parents will let him go scuba diving.
Nice.
And Dorothy, the daughter, hopes to go golfing. If she mows the lawn, her parents will let her go golfing.
Even the children's goals are framed within this conditional structure,
Right.
underscoring how early we begin to understand this cause and effect relationship between actions and outcomes.
It's like a mini social contract, right?
Yeah.
It's about demonstrating responsibility, earning privileges, and understanding that actions have consequences, both positive and negative.
Precisely, it lays the foundation for navigating the complex world of choices and consequences that we all face throughout our lives.
I love how this story showcases the versatility of the first conditional. It can express concrete goals and ambitious dreams.
Yeah.
And even those everyday negotiations we have with ourselves and others. But what really stands out to me is how it highlights the power of a shared vision.
Absolutely.
It makes me wonder, what are some aspirations or goals that you and those closest to you are working towards together? How might understanding the first conditional this language of possibilities, help you articulate and achieve those goals. It's amazing how this grammatical structure, the first conditional, can be a tool for personal reflection and even for strengthening bonds with those around us. But let's shift gears now and explore the final section of our deep dive, which focuses on some about you activities designed to get you thinking about how the first conditional applies to your own life.
These activities encourage learners to move beyond textbook examples and use the first conditional in a more personal and creative way. It's about taking ownership of the concept and seeing how it resonates with your own experiences and aspirations.
Exactly. So instead of just listing these activities, let's delve into a few of the most thought-provoking questions and see what insights they might spark. One question asks, do you ever make deals with your friends, like Joanna did with hers? Write 2 imaginary examples based on the deals Joanna and her friends were making.
It's a fun way to practice constructing those if-then statements while also reflecting on the kinds of negotiations or exchanges we engage in with those closest to us. It could be something as simple as, if you help me with the dishes, I'll help you with your math homework, or as something a bit more imaginative.
I love that. It reminds me of how when I was learning English, I used to make deals with my language partner. I'd say things like, if you teach me some slang, I'll cook you dinner. Or, you correct my pronunciation, I'll take you to that new cafe. It was a win-win situation.
It's a brilliant strategy. It turns language learning into a collaborative game, a shared adventure. But here's another question that might make you pause and think, how much money would it take for you to do someone else's work or homework?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It really gets you thinking about your values, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What's your price, so to speak? Is there even a number that would tempt you to cross that ethical line?
I think it goes beyond just ethics. It's about understanding what truly motivates us. Is it purely financial reward, or are there other factors at play, like a sense of fairness, a desire to help others, or even the fear of getting caught?
This is an interesting point. It's like that question forces you to examine your own internal compass. But here's one that I find particularly powerful. Think about why you want to learn English and finish this sentence. If I learned to speak English, what would you say?
That's a profound question for me. I think I'd say, if I learn to speak English fluently, I'll be able to build bridges of understanding across cultures and continents. It's about connecting with people on a deeper level, sharing stories and perspectives, and broadening my horizons.
That's beautifully said, and it really highlights how mastering a language isn't just about grammar and vocabulary. It's about unlocking a world of possibilities. It's about being able to communicate your thoughts and ideas to a wider audience, to engage in meaningful conversations, and to experience the world in a richer, more nuanced way.
Exactly. And that's what makes these about you activities so valuable. They encourage learners to personalize the learning process, to connect the dots between grammatical structures in their own lives, and to see the power of language as a tool for self-expression, connection, and growth.
As we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear that the first conditional is so much more than just a grammar rule. It's a fundamental way of thinking about the world, of exploring possibilities, of making choices, and of shaping our own futures. We've seen how it plays out in everyday interactions and personal aspirations, and even in those grand dreams that keep us reaching for the stars.
And perhaps the most valuable takeaway is that the first conditional isn't just about predicting what might happen. It's about taking action to make those desired outcomes more likely. It's about understanding that the future isn't predetermined, but rather a canvas on which we can paint our own possibilities.
What a beautiful way to put it. So, as you go about your day, I encourage you to listen for those if-then statements, those subtle negotiations, and those grand declarations of intent. And perhaps most importantly, start crafting your own first conditional sentences, those blueprints for the future you want to create.
It's about harnessing the power of this grammatical structure to not just describe possibilities, but to actively shape them.
Well said. And that brings us to the end of another deep dive. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep playing with the fascinating world of language. Until next time.